What up, traders? What up, investors? Ken here from Dyslexia Investor, and thank you for tuning in for another fantastic video. I'm getting a lot of notifications and pings today about like, hey, Ken, Bitcoin's crashing, Tesla's crashing. So we're going to be looking at basically Tesla, Bitcoin, and like Facebook probably, and then Square. We might add in Square there as well. Getting some pretty larger pullbacks, more than normal. With that being said, these stocks have been literally gangbusting all the way up to all-time highs and have been very much overvalued. Doing air quotes there if you can't see it, moving those potentially back into some kind of reasonable prices. Again, what is reasonable? Who knows? We just have to wait for once the market gods kind of give us some kind of direction here. So let's just jump in right into the charts here. So we're going to be looking at Tesla. So we are currently looking at a 1 hour chart. And if you look at something at a 1 hour chart, you're like, oh my gosh, look how far it has fallen. Like it's breaking lower here. But this is only 2 days here, okay? Yes, it nearly hit $900, but it has come back quite substantially here. If we start looking at a daily chart. So if you kind of see what I'm talking about here, we're really going to be looking at longer time frames. If you're looking at a 1 minute chart to a 5 minute chart to even an hour chart, those moves and those pullbacks are going to feel much more heavier and much more impactful on the charts. So it's always very smart to zoom out and look at, again, you like my sound effects, give me a thumbs up if you like that. And you want to potentially zoom out and really kind of look at the larger picture of things. And this is usually what I always ground myself to the daily chart and really looking at the weekly chart on really helping paint the picture of what we're seeing here. With Tesla, look at this move, ladies and gentlemen here. We have gone basically from 630 since that inception into the S&P 500 all the way up to $884 in less than 2 weeks. All right, that's nearly $200+ in a very short period of time. Again, there was a lot of FOMO. We saw multiple gaps up. We talked about this on the live stream last night on Sunday on talking about potentially looking for Tesla for a potential pullback. And I didn't know it was going to happen today. I didn't know when it was going to happen. But what levels we're going to be looking at? We're going to be looking initially at the first level around $800. As you can see here, that's the 5 EMA here in the daily chart. That's going to be the short-term support. If we do want to see a substantial further pullback, we're going to be looking down to 775 and even down to 700 to be a really potentially shorter term support. And these other ones, the 5 and 8, are really more for those very short term swing traders and very much the day traders. They're going to be looking at those kind of moving averages there. If you're a longer term investor, you really want this to pull back quite a bit here before you're able to even add any kind of cash or movement into the stock, because it has just run up so much. Not saying that's going to come crashing down. I'm like, again, getting a lot of notifications saying Tesla's crashing, blah, blah, blah is crashing, all so forth. That being said, talking about crashing, let's go ahead and just switch over to Bitcoin futures. We talked about this one last night on the live stream. We talked about potentially the 3,400 level to potentially be holding. That was around this time frame yesterday, right about here. I believe it was right about here. We talked about this, but it was continue to trend lower here. On the smaller time frame, again, looking here at a 1 hour chart here. So again, that dramatic move looks a lot worse than it really does, because it basically within 4 or 5 hours, it has eliminated the last 4 days. So that's usually what happens when a FOMO stock has gone up so much, so fast, so parabolic. It just literally evaporates all the potential weak hands, doing air quotes again, and looking at potentially just hitting those stops all the way down. And that just really fuel for the fire if that trend wants to continue lower. So again, zooming out on a larger time frame, especially for Bitcoin, this thing, we've seen a lot of moves within Bitcoin. This is one of the larger moves. Of course, we've been in a crazy parabolic move since the end of the year, really going from 20,000 to 42,000 with a blink of an eye, honestly, and a little bit too far, too fast. I do believe in Bitcoin as well, but this has run up just a little bit too much. And the folks that like to speculate and really just have the weak hands, not the diamond hands that we'd like to talk about, we could potentially see this for some support around 2,800 and even back down to 25,000 $28,000, or sorry, $28,000 to $25,000 to potentially at the first level of potentially trying to recover. But it's Bitcoin, very volatile in the sense of a currency, in the sense, if you consider Bitcoin a currency, which I do. That being said, we could get a very strong recovery and a very strong bounce play here as well coming through. Another one we want to look at is, of course, the old Facebook. Facebook, whew, they're getting hit constantly, from the government to voting to now being helping in student riots, whatever. I'm not going to be speculating. I'm not going to point the finger at Facebook for doing this, but looking for this to kind of potentially try to bottom out here around the 200, yeah, I was going to say 25,000. I'm still talking about Bitcoin, about the 250 point level here. This is a pretty aggressive downtrend. Again, keep in mind we do have earnings coming up as well, so that could be a catalyst for a stronger V-shaped recovery or potential move higher from that level. With that being said, this one is going to be a little bit difficult to watch, to potentially see a recovery come into this week, but really looking for this potentially to hold, and really looking for potentially the bleeding or the downward momentum to stop around the 250 level. If we do get that and potentially start seeing the moving averages kind of start smoothing out here, what we're really looking at is between the 5 and 8, really having that smoothing out pattern to potentially see that kind of stop bleeding, because this chart has been very much choppy over the last coming months here, not really getting past 290 and staying within the 267 range, finally breaking out of that range just slightly. If it does close below this 258 Fibonacci retracement, we're going to be looking for some further downside. And so we have to look at some other levels between that. So what we're going to be looking at that, we're going to be doing a Fibonacci extension. So we're going to do the swing high to swing low to the high here. So that, again, we're looking at some key levels basically between 260 or 259.97, if you want to be precise about it, and then down to around 250 again. I kind of like rather than just going out the very first day and just buying millions and millions and millions and trillions of dollars worth of the stock, like you know how I like to float. With that potentially being said, we're looking for this potentially to kind of hold a level. Again, the 78.6 percentile move, which is a Fibonacci number, lines up with the 200 EMA. We all know the 200 EMA has been a very strong cushion for a lot of stocks. So I would be rather sitting on my hands and just kind of waiting for a little bit more of a pullback. If you want to be aggressive and a little bit greedy, which is, again, nothing wrong with that. I'm a little bit more conservative in that sense. You can just maybe buy a very small portion at this level, with the plan of potentially adding down once it goes down, which is not really, again, my cup of tea. So it's very hard for me to speak to that kind of strategy. And the other one we're going to look at is SQ. Of course, SQ has kind of pulled back a little bit too. I don't know if this is just due because they have a lot of Bitcoin as well. For whatever reasons, I think that this is the one that is going to be less affected on this overall movement, because it has been a great moving stock here as well. As you can see here, it's continued to grind higher. But we talked about this one just about a week and a half ago, once it hit that 34 EMA, and we got a nice little bounce off that here. Especially with Square, we're going to be looking for some stronger support coming in around the 225 to 224. With that being said, with the potential stronger support coming in around 217 to the 215 range, if we can get any kind of bounce there. Again, really much going to be tied to, I think, really heavily leaning on the correction or the pullback within Bitcoin. Again, Bitcoin's down nearly 20%. It's at 18% right now, and really kind of potentially kind of settling here. And we'll see on how it really continues for the rest of the week. So that being said, hopefully this was informative and you learned something. If you learned something, if I gave you your brain cells got a little activity going there, please don't forget to hit the thumbs on the way out the door. And we have actually 2 affiliate links down below. We have the Amazon books, which again, if you're interested in looking at Audible and different things like that, fantastic. Looking at the books that I'm currently reading and have read, I'm always going to be adding more and more books to that level. So just keep an eye on that one. And at the same time, we have the Tastyworks affiliate link down below if you're interested on creating a new brokerage account of $2,000 or more. They are running a great promotion of 100 free shares or 10 free options if you open an account of $2,000 or more. And you please use my affiliate link. Of course, I get a little bit of a little bit of cheddar in my hand, if you know what I mean. That being said, guys, please thank you again, and be safe out there. And I'll hopefully see you guys tomorrow. We're going to be potentially doing a live stream, and I'll see you guys there. All right, peace.